exist due to fossilized teeth found of this extinct ape. They were twice the size of modern human teeth, and seemed to correspond to a creature that could get to 10 feet tall and weigh 1,000 pounds. It's called Gigantopithecus, the largest ape to ever exist, that we know of. The discovery of Gigantopithecus is one that captivated the world for decades, leading to a boom period of excavations to find more of their remains. It's a story of mystery and confusion, and even thieves of another species. Today I'm going to tell you this story, and tell you everything we know about the perplexing Gigantopithecus. Let me start off by providing some context. So fossils have only been studied as fossils for a period of like hundreds of years, but they have been used as an ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years, just under a different name. Dragon bones, or dragon teeth, and were historically pretty easy to purchase from local drugstores. And in the mid-1800s, scientists started looking into these dragon teeth, now with the understanding that they were fossils. And in 1935, a scientist named Gustav von Koenigswald killed that. Purchased 2 isolated molars from a traditional Chinese drugstore in Hong Kong. Immediately, they were weird as fuck. They looked like modern ape teeth, but were obviously giganto. He knew he was holding the teeth of a giant ape no one had ever described before, and so he described them as a new species, Gigantopithecus blacki, with the genus name Gigantopithecus translating to giant ape, and the species name Blackie in honor of a paleoanthropologist who had recently passed, named Davidson Black. He was responsible for some of the earliest contributions to the study of human evolution in China. So, Gigantopithecus blacki. Over the next few years, other large ape teeth purchased from these drugstores were collected and assigned to Gigantopithecus. So, then the next step became to figure out where these teeth came from regionally so they could find and learn new cool shit. And von Koenigswald was able to narrow it down to 2 regions just north of Hong Kong in southern China, either Guangdong or Guangxi, or both, based on material found in the teeth of Gigantopithecus. At the same time, scientists were just starting to explore cave sites in southern China, and were able to confirm von Koenigswald's suspicions. After looking into records of imports and exports and whatnot, the researchers had a nice concise list of 300 possible cave sites the teeth could have come from. And in 1956, 21 years after the original discovery of Gigantopithecus, scientists found the first on-site remains in a cave called Heidong. Heidong means dark cave because it was a dark as fuck cave. No light reached the inside of the cave, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, imagine you're one of those researchers and you can't see shit, but you're looking for this giant ape, you come across the remains, and now all of a sudden you know that this massive animal that is somewhat related to you, possibly an ancestor to you, because that's what they thought at the time, was walking around and possibly living exactly where you are thousands of years ago. Like, that is fucking nuts. Okay, so then, that same summer, totally separate from these excavations, a local was digging in a different cave for fertilizer and came across a shit ton of teeth. Dragon teeth, as well as a mandible, or a jawbone. Tried selling them as dragon teeth, but was unsuccessful, because I think at this point, that wasn't really allowed anymore. But he ended up getting them into the hands of scientists. So, turned out he accidentally found the first known mandible of Gigantopithecus. The scientists were led back to the cave he found it in 1957, and they were able to find 2 more mandibles and over 1,000 isolated teeth in that cave alone. So, the cave ended up being renamed Gigantopithecus Cave, but other caves remains had been found in were also renamed Gigantopithecus Caves, so there's like 7 at this point, just handing it out like candy. But this discovery kind of set off a boom period for finding more remains. Throughout the 60s and 70s, excavations were just popping off all over southern China, which led to new discoveries on where the big ape lived, new understandings on their age and morphology, hundreds of more teeth were found, and another mandible, but no, other pieces of the skeleton. Why? To this day, over 2,000 teeth have been attributed to Gigantopithecus, as well as 4 mandibles, but nothing else. No cranial or postcranial remains. Unusual to say the least. So there is an explanation, and you're gonna fucking love this. There is a culprit that has been stealing the bones. Scoundrels of the soil. Bamboozlers of the bush. The mischievous scamps known as Malayan porcupines. They are the reason for the disappearance of the bones. Look. Thief. It's written all over their face. One thing scientists noticed about the teeth of Gigantopithecus is that there was extensive gnawing all over the roots, clearly from some sort of rodent. What you might not know about porcupines is that they eat the shit out of bones. They go to absolute town on bones. They need them to obtain minerals to maintain the condition of their quills. Porcupines are capable of dragging relatively large bones back to their dens, and are known to fully consume bones and the roots of teeth, leaving only the tooth crowns, because they don't really fuck with enamel. So, hence the Gigantopithecus teeth. So it's unfortunate that porcupines are not more concerned with scientific discovery, because now this situation exists. And that's not to say that porcupines have eaten every single individual Gigantopithecus that ever lived. They probably just ate a lot of them, and other animals probably played a part too. So it's just a condition of the region that's making it harder for scientists to find what they're looking for. So clearly there's still a lot we don't know. The life of Gigantopithecus is still a huge mystery, but luckily there's a lot you can learn from the teeth of an animal, and their presence in certain areas can tell you a lot as well. So let me give you a breakdown of what we know so far, as well as educated assumptions that have been made. Gigantopithecus seems to have been alive from about 2 million years ago to like 100,000 years ago. That last date is up in the air on my end. There were lots of dates across different sources, so let's just say early and middle Pleistocene. They were alive for a decent portion of the Pleistocene, and it seems like they were pretty restricted to southern China. There were isolated teeth found in Thailand and Vietnam, but they have not been confirmed as Gigantopithecus, so uncertain for now. They were living alongside other primates like snub-nosed monkeys, langurs, gibbons, and orangutans, and more generally, other mammals like rhinos, tapirs, and even hyenas that were alive at the time in that area. For a long time, there was some back and forth on whether or not Gigantopithecus was a human species, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. One of the earlier ideas is that they were an evolutionary offshoot of the genus Homo, or maybe a direct ancestor of the genus, which of course includes us, Neanderthals, the hobbits, and our ancestors Homo erectus. Don't.
Nice.
Their teeth had very hominin features, especially similar to a specific group called Paranthropus. That's an extinct dead end in the hominin family tree. Other scientists disagreed, though, and thought they were meant to be classified as a different, specialized great ape. This disagreement lasted for decades, until those complete mandibles were found. Gigantopithecus was clearly no Homo.
Why are you gay?
Those similarities were nothing more than superficial, and maybe just an example of convergent evolution, where two groups evolved similar structures or morphologies in response to similar environmental conditions, like the wings of bats and birds. So Gigantopithecus is now recognized as a great ape, most closely related to the modern orangutan. So, still closely related to us, but not in our direct ancestry. To get a general idea of their size, scientists have compared their teeth to the teeth of modern great apes, that comparison fucking cross-multiply shit that we talked about in the shark video, and have come up with a maximum weight of about 1,000 pounds, with more conservative estimates placing them between 400 and 600 pounds, which is so fucking big, dude. I've worked with some pretty massive Siberian tigers, and they were not even 600 pounds. They were like 550 pounds, and they still, I saw them every day, and every day they looked like a fake animal right in front of me. And so 600-pound ape is just fucking nuts. That is insane. And Gigantopithecus was likely about twice the size of modern gorillas. I mean, their teeth alone, dude, they were definitely the biggest ape to ever exist, that we know of. Because of this, they likely didn't have any natural predators and spent most of their time on the ground. Not a lot of time in the trees, if at all. The functionality is just not there. Ground apes on the ground. With the massive amount of teeth that have been found, scientists have been able to distinguish juveniles from adults and even males from females. And it seems like males were much larger than females, which tends to imply that there was a lot of competition between the males. Gigantopithecus also got a lot larger throughout the Pleistocene. The size of their teeth increased over time and also gained more complexity, probably due to changing environmental conditions that led to a pressure to change their diet. I had mentioned in my Ice Age iceberg video that the Pleistocene saw a shit ton of ice ages, generally called the Ice Age, but the Pleistocene is multiple ice ages, swings in climate, dips, big dips, which led to pretty drastic shifts in habitats throughout those swings. So, Gigantopithecus had to shift their food sources. And luckily, teeth can tell you a lot about diet. And the Gigantopithecus teeth speak very highly of fruits. They loves that shit. They also dabbled in some leaves and stems, possibly underground storage organs, and potentially bamboo from time to time. It's pretty common to see researchers adopting this as a reason why they went extinct. Their teeth shifted in complexity around the time that there was a big shift in climate, corresponding to the beginning of an ice age. It's an idea for now, but there's not a lot of solid, direct evidence for that at this moment in time. But it seems as though their forest habitats were definitely taken over by grasslands as the ice grew at the poles and expanded. They were around for a long time and definitely had to adapt to ice ages before, but maybe this one just shot them over the edge. Then there's always maybe it was the humans argument. Homo erectus was potentially just arriving to the region around the time they went extinct. Would have been easy targets, but no direct evidence for that as well, or either. So, for now, their demise is a mystery. All right, let's get on to the questions for this week's episode. Which evolutionary trait that disappeared do you think would have been advantageous today, of any species? So, when I was doing research for the dino disease video, I came across this paper that had this really short little paragraph referencing a different paper about how there's evidence that our ancestors from 350 million years ago, like the early stem amniotes, which I'm going to get to in the History of Life on Earth series, display evidence of regenerative abilities, like salamanders, like able to regrow parts of their limbs or full limbs. It was such a short paragraph, and I went to the paper that it was referencing, and I could not access it even with Sci-Hub, so it kind of just ended there. I probably shouldn't be bringing it up now because I have not confirmed it, but I did read it in a paper. So if true, that's fucking crazy, and it's crazy that the earliest groups of our ancestors could have possibly been regenerating their limbs, and now we can't. So I gotta look into that a little bit more. But if that's the case, then that's the answer that I would give for that question. Next, how do you feel about extinct animals being scientifically brought back? So this is probably not the best way to make this announcement, but I am actually now on the youth advisory board for Colossal Biosciences, which is the main company doing the resurrecting of extinct species, which I'm super excited about. This happened a couple months ago, so I've been in a couple meetings, but I had made videos kind of giving updates on what Colossal has been up to way before they got in contact with me, and I've always had mixed feelings about all of these updates, and so I've always left the videos, open-ended, kind of waiting for opinions from other people. But the main concern being this technology is being developed to resurrect extinct species. Why not focus on endangered species? And one thing that I have already learned from these meetings is that this technology is being developed for endangered species. It's just like the resurrection aspect of it is the selling point. Obviously, that gets people excited. That brings in more funding and everything because it's fucking insane. And the reality is, like, humans are more interested in like crazy new technologies where you could like bring back animals that don't exist right now than saving the ones that currently exist. So I'm really excited about it. I think this is going to add a whole new element to conservation that is just nice to have once the technology is figured out. And I'm hoping in 2024 I'm going to be able to focus on Colossal a bit more, maybe do like an in the field video where I go check out what they're doing. I'm going to talk to them about it and hopefully be able to provide more updates as time goes on now that I'm on the advisory board. So I am super stoked about that, and I hope you're looking forward to it because there will definitely be more updates to come. And if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next long form video, the next episode of the History of Life on Earth series. Check out my Patreon for live streams at our Discord server. And for now, stay curious. The world has a lot for us to learn. See ya!